Deion Sanders spares nobody in alarming locker room message after Kaidon Salter's bold admission. Winning on the road is never easy, but going 3 straight quarters without a single score was something Colorado fans didn't see coming. Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes hit rock bottom in last week's matchup against Utah, trailing 43-0 by halftime, which quickly turned into social media fodder. After entering the season with high hopes following last year's 9-4 record and first bowl appearance since 2020, this loss struck a nerve. Even Coach Prime's patience ran out, as he reportedly tore into his players during the halftime break, frustrated by the team's lack of fight. You'll know all the right stuff to say, all the songs, everything that's appropriate. But when is it going to transfer? Offensive line, getting your BTS kicked. Defense, you're getting your BTS waxed. Coaches, we get out-coached. Where does he go to register, and when do you go to fight for your dignity, for your pride? Well, if a team goes minus 18 total yards and Utah puts 398 yards in the first half, what else can you expect from your coach? Now, this loss drops the Buff score to 3-5, which is concerning, as they need to go 3-1 in their last 4 games to at least reach 6 wins. If they fail to gain that mark, Colorado might lose bowl eligibility this year. The fear of repeating their 1-11 season was evident in Deion Sanders' bold remarks. We had 2 weeks to prepare, and this is what we do? We are better than this. I better not see any quitting. Have some self-pride and dignity. Despite that, his team only scored 7 points late in the fourth quarter. What added to their woes even more was that Deion Sanders' squad failed to take advantage of Devin Dampier's absence because of his lower leg injury. Their backup QB, Bird Ficklin, completed 10 of his 22 passes, and not a single time did the Buffs intercept any of them. He rushed for 151 yards on 20 attempts to push Utah's fate. And with that, the Buffs went from bad to worse as Utah racked up 422 rushing yards against them with 46 unanswered points. Without Amarian Miller and Joseph Williams, even Kaidon Salter couldn't find a reliable hand to launch passes. Then, with offense and defense, even their special team was a big mess. Their punter, Damon Greaves, couldn't do much in the game, and right before halftime, his punt got blocked, which extended Utah's lead even more. Later, he did make a good punt on Utah's 20-yard line, but it came very late in the game. In the end, the Buffs became a Big 12, giving up the largest halftime lead since 2011. Now, you can understand why Sanders gave a hard reality check to his team. The silence in the Colorado Buffaloes locker room was deafening. The echoes of Utah's crowd were still ringing in the players' ears, but what cut deeper was the sharp, unfiltered truth that came next. Deion Sanders, better known as Coach Prime, did not hold back. His team had just endured a 53-7 humiliation at the hands of the Utah Utes. And for the first time all season, even Sanders' trademark optimism gave way to fury and disbelief. The game had been billed as a chance for redemption. After a 2-4 start, the Buffaloes had shown a flicker of life with an impressive 24-17 win over then 22 Iowa State. The bye week was supposed to give them time to regroup, refresh, and refocus. Instead, what unfolded in Salt Lake City was an unmitigated disaster. Utah didn't just defeat Colorado, they dismantled them, exposing every flaw on offense, defense, and special teams. By halftime, the score was 43-0, the largest halftime deficit in the 72-year history of the Rumble in the Rockies. In that locker room, Sanders' message was simple. No one was safe from accountability. Coach Prime's fury boils over. Y'all know all the right stuff to say. You know all the songs. You know everything that's appropriate. Sanders began, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. But when is it going to transfer? Offensive line, getting your BTS kicked. Defense, you're getting your BTS waxed. Coaches, we get out-coached. Where does he go to register, and when do you go to fight for your dignity, for your pride? It wasn't just a rant. It was a plea. Sanders wasn't angry simply because of the scoreboard. He was furious at what he perceived as a lack of heart. He saw a team that talked about greatness but wasn't willing to fight for it. We had 2 weeks to prepare, and this is what we do? We are better than this. I better not see any quitting. Have some self-pride and dignity, he thundered. For a coach who has always preached resilience, swagger, and self-belief, what unfolded on that field was unacceptable. The team that once captivated the nation with its confidence now looked broken, confused, and disconnected. A collapse in every phase. There's losing, and then there's what happened to Colorado against Utah. By halftime, the Buffaloes had accumulated negative 18 total yards. Utah, meanwhile, had piled up nearly 400 yards of offense. Colorado's offensive line crumbled repeatedly. Their defense couldn't stop even basic runs, and the special teams added insult to injury with a blocked punt just before the break. Sanders later admitted he was dumbfounded. This is bad. This is probably the worst beating I've ever had except when my mama hooped me as a kid, Sanders told reporters after the game. Sometimes you just are dumbfounded, man. You just look at this day and say, wow, what happened? There's no way. But even as he shook his head in disbelief, Sanders didn't deflect blame. It starts with me. It starts with the coaching staff. Let's forget the guys for a minute. Let's start at the top, he said. I'm trying to figure that one out. I really am. And perhaps that's what made this loss sting more than most. Even the man who built his reputation on confidence and clarity seemed to be searching for answers. The Kaidon Salter problem. For much of the season, Colorado's offense has looked like a puzzle missing several key pieces, and quarterback Kaidon Salter has been caught in the middle of that chaos. Once seen as a capable successor to Shedeur Sanders, Salter's struggles against Utah were glaring. He finished the night with just 37 passing yards and an interception before being benched for Ryan Staub. After the game, Salter opened up about his disappointment and confusion. I felt like I had a great week of practice. Today was blindsiding, he admitted. A lot of the pressures we saw today were nowhere to be seen on tape. It wasn't a lack of effort. Salter reportedly spent over 10 hours studying film that week. But preparation and execution are two different things. And when Utah's defense unleashed wave after wave of unexpected pressure, Colorado had no answer. Staub's entrance in the fourth quarter provided a small glimmer of hope. He led a 59-yard drive, capped with a 1-yard touchdown that finally got Colorado on the scoreboard. But by then, the damage was irreversible. Now, Sanders faces a difficult question. Does he stick with Salter, hoping the young quarterback learns from his mistakes, or hand the reins to Staub in hopes of jump-starting a stagnant offense? Utah's dominance and Colorado's missed opportunity. The context makes Colorado's collapse even more painful. Utah was missing star quarterback Devin Dampier due to a lower leg injury. Backup Bird Ficklin started instead and dominated. Ficklin completed 10 of 22 passes and rushed for an astonishing 151 yards on 20 carries. He carved through the Buffalo's defense like it was tissue paper. Utah finished with 422 rushing yards, while Colorado's offense barely managed a pulse. It was the kind of lopsided performance that forces an entire program to look in the mirror. Adding to the embarrassment, even the special teams, a unit Sanders often takes personal pride in, fell apart. Punter Damon Greaves had a disastrous first half, including a blocked punt that further widened the margin. While he later managed a decent kick that pinned Utah on their 20-yard line, it came far too late to matter. By the time the clock hit 0, Utah had recorded its largest halftime lead against a Big 12 opponent since 2011. A coach's pain and a team's identity crisis. After the game, Deion Sanders didn't sugarcoat it. He kicked my BT today, Sanders said, referring to Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham. It was one-on-one with me and him, and he won by a significant margin. For a coach as competitive as Sanders, admitting that stung. But it also showed his willingness to take responsibility, something he's preached to his players since day one. Still, the question looms. Can this team respond? Colorado now sits at 3-5, needing to win 3 of their final 4 games to become bowl eligible. For a program that went 9-4 last year and ended its bowl drought, missing out would be a major step backward. And it's not just the record. It's the optics, the swagger, the belief, the unity, everything that made Coach Prime's Buffaloes a national sensation last season seems to be fading.